Hi everyone, I hope it's all going well for you this week doing the 1 week trial. I really appreciate the time you're giving to this, but I also hope you get some really nice meals out of it at the end of the day. I wanted to just mention about the chicken risotto. I blogged the chicken risotto a few weeks ago, and there's no point me re-blogging it for this trial. The only difference is that you're going to have homemade chicken stock, and the recipe I've blogged uses powdered stock. So you could use either. I know the stock that's in the fridge can look very gelatinous and possibly unappetizing. It tastes fantastic. Use it if you dare, but if you're really put off by it, I know my husband's a bit funny about things like that, so he would probably use the powdered stock. Either way, the recipe is going to work really well. So good luck, have a really good week, and thank you so much for your time and commitment to this. I really look forward to hearing how you get on. Okay, to dispel the myths that risotto is really tricky to make, I'm going to show you how to make risotto. It does need a little bit of care and attention. You do have to stir it, but it's only going to take you 10 minutes and it's really worthwhile. This is ultimate peasant food, okay? I'm using frozen peas and frozen broad beans. I've got 150 grams of frozen peas, and I use these in preference over fresh peas, and I've got 100 grams of broad beans. That's just what I had in my freezer. You could use 150 grams. What I do, if you have a look in this sieve here, these are the skins from broad beans. What I do is I put them into boiling water for 2 or 3 minutes, and then what you end up with is the little beans in their skins, and if you just nick the top with your fingernail and squeeze, out comes this beautiful little bean. And that's, you can't do anything with that, you throw it away. I'm going to use 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to thinly slice it. You can chop it, you can use a garlic crush, whatever you like, but the Italians would slice it. Now it doesn't mean you're going to get a nasty big chunk of garlic in your dinner, because we're going to cook it really slowly and it should sort of melt. Okay, I've got my pan on the heat. Now I'm going to use a really nice big deep pan, because it's going to cook it a little bit quicker, okay? So in my pan, I've got 50 grams of butter. If you don't want to use 50 grams of butter, just use a splash of olive oil, okay? I try, and when I make something like a risotto, because it is so cheap and simple, I like to enrich it with, you know, it's Sunday night, I want a knob of butter in it, why not? But if you just want to make it a bit more healthy, just a tablespoon of olive oil, okay? So there's 50 grams of butter in there. For all you health conscious people, eek. To that I'm going to add my 2 cloves of garlic. Now, I'm not trying to fry the garlic so it goes all brown. I'm softening it very gently on a very low heat. Next thing I'm going to add is my rice. Now, you can't, I'm afraid, use Uncle Ben or a basmati rice if you're going to make a real risotto. Real risotto comes from risotto rice. Carnaroli rice is the official name of it, and it says here it's a plump, firm grain which absorbs flavour, and it has a distinctive characteristic creaminess. I mean, it sounds a bit poncy, but to be honest, if you're going to make a risotto, rice isn't expensive, okay? And the end result is really worth it. So try and, when you go in the supermarket, often in boxes, the speciality rices. So Carnaroli rice is the one you want. It's Italian. 250 grams is enough for 2 people. And that's half a box, because I made this last month. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I don't know if you remember, if you watched the blog when I was doing Spanish rice, I fried the rice for a bit. I'm going to do the same now. What I'm actually doing is toasting the rice in the pan, and I'm going to do that for 2 minutes over a low heat. It allows each grain to be stirred and covered with the oil and butter mixture so they don't stick, and it also is going to give the rice a bit more of a toasty flavour. And it really does make a difference. So in here, all I've got is 250 grams of the Italian risotto rice, a couple of cloves of garlic, and my 50 grams of butter and a little bit of olive oil, and that's been frying gently for 2 minutes. To this, I'm going to add 75 mils of wine. Now, for 250 grams of rice, you need half a litre of stock. And the wine is optional, so you'd have 575 mils of stock if you didn't want to use wine. For those of you who don't want to be drinking alcohol, you do burn the alcohol off, but it does give a really nice flavour. And remember, all we've got is peas, beans and rice at the end of the day with a bit of Parmesan cheese, so this is going to make it absolutely delicious. Something I've done before, instead of me dissolving my stock in a jug and making a jug go dirty, I actually put my stock straight in with my rice. So that's 2 stock cubes or 2 teaspoons of stock powder. Now there's different qualities of stock, right? This is available in UK supermarkets, and it's Swiss vegetable bouillon powder. it's just a good quality vegetable stock. So if you wanted to make it truly vegetarian, you could. And this is chicken stock, which basically I think is just stock cubes that have been crumbled up, so you don't have to crumble them up yourself. Okay, so I'm going to use this. I've got 2 teaspoons and I'm going to sprinkle it straight onto the rice. And then I don't have to worry about getting a jug dirty. And I kind of know what half a litre of liquid looks like. So into here, I'm going to add my wine, okay? Okay, look at how this is bubbling, right? This is something that's really important. We do not want to cook risotto at 90 miles an hour, okay? This is far too fast, okay? We turn the heat right down. If you cook risotto too fast, you're not going to get the starch releasing and that lovely creaminess, okay, that you want. The reason why that's gone mad is obviously it was a hot pan and it was the first bit of liquid. Let it all calm down now and lower the heat, because you want it to be no faster than what you see here, which is what we call a simmer. Can you see something now? As I'm going to drag my spoon through the rice, can you see it goes clear? That means I'm ready to add more liquid. So we don't want it to be completely dehydrated, but we want nearly all of the liquid to have gone. So if I drag my spoon through it, it forms a pathway. So we add another ladleful. This whole process is only going to take me 10-12 minutes, okay? The texture of what rice that we want is when we bite it, we can tell it's cooked, but it's still got texture, it's not mush. That's what al dente means, and that's what bite means. It doesn't have a crunch to it. Your teeth bite into the rice, you can tell it's cooked, but it's not mushy. I think a lot of people find this terminology a little bit complicated and it puts them off. That's all it means. And I can actually tell if something's al dente by the feel of my spoon when I stir it, pasta or rice. If you touch it, so close your eyes, it's like dragging it through gravel in water. And when it's cooked, it's not. So next time you cook pasta, put your wooden spoon in the pan and feel the pasta, and if it feels like gravelly or stony, it's not cooked. I just need to get out more, really. I've added about just under 2/3 of the amount of liquid that I want to add. Okay, so I'll just add the next lot, and I'm going to add my peas and broad beans. Look at the colour, it's fantastic, isn't it? So I'm just going to check it now and see if the rice is cooked. Careful, it's hot. Yeah, I'm about a minute away. So I'm going to add half of my cheese. I have 75 grams of Parmesan cheese. If that's 50 grams or 100 grams, don't worry too much. I've grated it finely, and you can hold some back. You could either use a potato peeler and do fancy shavings on the top when you come to garnish, or just hold a little bit of this back, okay? So I'm going to add, I'll add 2/3 of it and keep just 1/3 for sprinkling on the top. And by adding this now, obviously it's going to melt and enrich the sauce and make it even creamier. Okay, so the rest of it will be to sprinkle on top, and this lovely Parmesan will go in. I wouldn't suggest you use cheddar or Cheshire cheese or another cheese in a recipe like this. I do think Parmesan is the way to go. But if you don't put it in, don't worry. If you really don't like cheese, or you certainly don't like Parmesan, it's fine without, but it is pretty nice with it in. Come and look at this now. I might need to add more water and reduce it again, but this is what I'd be serving. It's a thick rice puddingy kind of texture. Can you see that? That's what you're ultimately trying to get. If you want to gauge whether you've got the right consistency risotto, as you spoon it onto the plate, it should move and spread a little bit. I reckon that's enough for one portion. Nice generous sprinkling of the Parmesan cheese. And if you want a bit of tomato and mozzarella on the salad, why not? So that's basically my pea and broad bean risotto.